So to our next speaker is AKKR8. Ulf, are you there?
Yeah, sure, I'm here.
Yeah, perfect. And can you share your screen?
Sure, I can. See it?
Yes, perfect. Just
Okay.
take it away.
Good, thank you. So my name is Ulf Seijmer, and I am representing a company called AKKR8. I am the Chief Innovation Officer of AKKR8, and I'm also running another company called Induo. So I've been in this industry since the early 90s. I've been connecting machines for almost 27 years. So I say that I am bridging the gap between sales, marketing, and technology. And it's a very fun position to be in, to work with all these areas together at the same time. So from the love of IoT we had a lot of discussions through the years, and we found that people were struggling with a way to get started with IoT. Sometimes the hurdle was that it was lack of funding, sometimes it was lack of technical knowledge, and we sort of wanted to create a platform from what we have learned and make it possible for more people to realize their dreams and make their dreams come true. And the first problem we found was that people didn't know how to get started because they had a good idea, they were an entrepreneur, but they didn't know the technical stuff. So they ended up with a kit with an Arduino and didn't know how to get to the next step. And the other problem we found was that some people actually managed to get this prototype up and running, and they tested for some time. And after that, they didn't know how to put the product on the market, or the step to go into the market was really troublesome. They couldn't deploy this solution they had in thousands of devices. So we decided to create AKKR8, which we position as a Swiss Army knife for IoT. That's basically a toolkit where you can get your smart sensor and combine them as you need for the time being for your dream to be realized. So we have created a sensor platform, and it has some embedded sensors that can do a lot of things, and we combine them in a very smart way so they can interact with each other. And we also have the possibility to add external sensors, and we also have a prototype port, so to say. So if you have a sensor, a need for a sensor that isn't on the board, we can quite easily deploy a new solution with the use of some firmware and some work, but the hardware is already prepared for testing in various applications. So the other problem we saw, and this comes from discussions with customers throughout the years, and I think Stefan was touching this problem as well, is that the wireless networks, the local wireless networks like the LoRa, Sigfox, and so on, they have restrictions. You cannot use them all the time. They're not available everywhere. And it's always this question, you know, will I get indoor coverage if I use this sensor there and I use my gateway there? So we wanted to take that out of the equation. So we decided to just go for the cellular device. So it really is wireless with no boundaries. We get coverage because we use the low power cellular technologies that has good indoor penetration. The networks from the operators, they have the wonderful capacity and availability. So there's just making IoT a lot easier to have these fantastic networks to work with. So our take on IoT is that in order to be successful, you need to think from edge to edge with IoT. So we have the sensor edge, and this is a smart sensor as per Joachim's definition. I think we can check almost all of the boxes. And the sensor can make decisions. It can transmit data based on filtering and all these kind of important things. It also is encrypted. That means that the sensor data it collects and sends to the cloud is an encrypted data transmission, so it cannot be interfered by, well, people with the wrong intent. And also the cellular networks in themselves, they have very good security. So we feel that together that is a very good fit. And then it comes to the front edge, what the customer wants to see. And there we have a very open mindset because we support a lot of different IoT platforms. And some customers prefer Azure, some prefer other platforms, someone wants AWS, And we tend to think that we should support all important platforms going forward. So the sensor itself, it has a lot of embedded sensors that could measure, for example, vibration, acceleration, or a combination of vibration and acceleration. We can monitor air quality, so it's CO2, TVOC. We can measure humidity and temperature. And also we have the ports for some industrial sensors like pressure sensors, level sensors, and so on. And some alarm inputs. And on top of that, we have outputs actually on the sensor. That means that it can do things with the output, either if someone wants to initiate it from the cloud, or if something happens. I mean, if you have a pressure sensor, for example, and you realize that it's going above the level where it should be, we can start, for example, a water pump to drain something out so that the pressure goes back to normal. So we have been working with some very interesting applications, and this is just some applications to show you what basically our multifunction tool could work in different areas. So for example, one application we've been working with is usage of heavy machinery, and we can measure when they start because we can sort of detect when they vibrate, but we can also detect if there is an abnormal vibration. And these machines that we're monitoring, they shouldn't be used below 0 degrees, and because that will cause problems. So with a combination of vibration and temperature, we can monitor how the machine is being used. And this is in an area where the machines have been dumb all their lives. So there's basically what we refer to as a retrofit IoT. You take something existing, you add IoT, you get a smart machine, you learn more about it, and you can improve on your sort of construction of the machine going forward to the next generation. In the area of buildings, building construction, we have these factories that build building blocks for the houses that are delivered throughout Sweden and knocked up. And during that process, you typically want to measure if the building blocks have been put into an external heat or an excessive humidity, because after all, you have to guarantee to the end customer that the building has certain kind of shape when you hand it over. So in these applications, we have the humidity and temperature sensors in use. In hospitality, I mean, there's a lot in the world that is coming back after COVID, and in hospitality, you typically want to make the guests feel very safe. So in these applications, you want to measure the air quality, you want to measure temperature and humidity so that you can present to the guests that their room or the areas in the hotel are within safe limits. Another interesting application is the temporary roadworks in Sweden. You have diesel tanks, you put them on the side of the road, and when the yellow machines are working, they need diesel, so they fill them up. And there we can use the industrial sensors, and we can send data to the ones filling up the tanks so they know when it's starting to get empty. And during night, no one should use these tanks. So we basically have the vibration sensor to indicate that there's something going on outside of working hours. And one last application is ventilation, where we can measure air quality in rooms. And we can, within the sensor itself, start or stop the fans, for example, in the building. And we can report abnormalities directly to the cloud. And as it is connected to the cellular network, that is just something that's very easy. So to summarize, AKKR8, we believe we have the platform for the entire IoT journey. So we want to aim the sensor at both the proof of concept and the ones going from a proof of concept to the next step. So we have a scalable platform. We have all these wonderful sensors that can realize your dreams. And we can also take some of these sensors and put into a very customized product. So for this product, we control the hardware and we control the software, so we can basically adjust it to everyone's needs, but it's very easy to get started. And that's what basically we wanted to achieve. So that was all for me. Here's my
Yeah.
contact details, and in case you want to reach out. I'm a lot on LinkedIn, so please feel free to make contact there.
Great. Thank you, Ulf. Thank you so much. Just so you know, for those who have never attended one eBazaar before, afterwards you will get a post-event email from us with all the contact details to all the speakers and so forth. So you don't have to make a lot of notes. So thank you, Ulf.